manager for the Colorado Department of Ag's Soil Health Program. We are excited to present to you a webinar this afternoon that will hopefully give you a nice overview of the application process for the STAR Plus entities. That includes conservation districts and eligible entities. I am going to not give you too much information about it because we have a lot of good information and different speakers in this presentation. I'm just going to make sure I introduce our team to you, and then we will get started with the nuts and bolts of what's going on. And we're going to make sure we have plenty of time at the end to be able to answer questions and that sort of thing for you. So I'm going to introduce our team in order of who's going to be speaking. So John Miller is the Soil Health Coordinator. He's located in Hotchkiss, Colorado, and has probably been in touch with a lot of people about different aspects of the Soil Health Program. John, could you raise your hand so everybody sees you? Because you're listed as the Colorado State Conservation Board on your name, and they may not recognize you. Next on our agenda for speaking is Nikki Brinson. She's our district operations manager. She is our budgetary guru and wizard. We really appreciate all she's done with the soil health program and the business side of it. She's going to talk about the application process and how to go through that. And then John's going to come back and give you some more information, and I'll wrap us up. I also want to introduce Raquel Sanchez, who is our grants manager. Any of you that will or that have been working on grants or for the STAR Plus program or will be working with grants, she's a person that you'll get to know pretty well because she really is that front line for dealing with our grant program through the STAR Plus and the others that come through the soil health program. So without further ado, I am going to hand it over to John Miller, who's going to take you just through a brief introduction to what the STAR program is about. Oh, I also want to note that if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will answer them as we have the opportunity to discuss them. Many of them may be reserved to the end, but we'll be looking out for them because and we might stop different speakers to answer the question if it's pertinent to what's being discussed in that moment. So, John, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you, Cindy. We're going to go ahead and get started here. I'll give an overview of how the STAR program works and the different parts of the program, and like Cindy said, feel free to drop questions in the chat and we'll have time for questions at the end. So in 2021, House Bill 21-1181 created a voluntary soil health program at the CDA funded by gifts, grants, and donations, and set up a soil health advisory committee. In 2022, which was the first year of the STAR Plus program, we launched with 125 participants, 19 conservation districts and eligible entities, and were funded by grants from the CDPHE, the CWCB, National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and the NRCS. And then at the end of 2022, we were awarded a USDA Climate Smart Commodities grant, providing an additional $25 million to expand the STAR Plus program. And that will be happening here in 2023. And hopefully that's why everybody is here today, is to learn more about that expansion. The nuts and bolts of soil health are the 5 soil health principles, where we want soil armoring, minimize disturbance of the soil, increase diversity of species on the landscape, a continual living root, and integration of livestock. And the program itself focuses on these 3 principles as being our main areas to target for new best management practices from producers. So there are two different sort of portions to this. There's STAR and STAR Plus. STAR is an online assessment form. Any producer in Colorado can go onto the CDA website and complete a STAR field form to receive a 1 through 5 star rating. 1 being equivalent to approximately what 80% of operations are doing in your field, in your area, in your ag type in your area. And then as you implement more of those 5 principles of soil health, your STAR rating will go up. So 1 is sort of average. It's not looked down upon, but the higher your STAR rating, it means the more you're integrating these practices. The first 100% participants to be in STAR to use the STAR tool will receive a free soil health test. Currently, there are 11 types of production, including alfalfa, non-alfalfa hay, annual grasses, grain and legume crops, hemp for flour, hemp for seed and fiber, orchards, potatoes, specialty row crops, sugar beets, vineyards, and grazing lands. And the CDA is developing partnerships to provide marketing and other opportunities for STAR participants. So our long-term goal is that when you get this STAR rating, that it will mean something to your end purchaser of your product, and they'll know that you are implementing healthy soil practices when you're growing your product. So that's the rating tool. We encourage folks to go on there and fill out those forms and receive a rating from us. And we still have spaces in that 100 participants to receive a free soil health test. So please get the word out to people, interested producers that you may know. STAR Plus, this is really the soil health program for the state, and it builds upon that assessment tool to provide 3 years of incentive payments to producers in order for them to try new practices on one field as they gain familiarity and expertise with these practices. And we are currently looking for conservation districts and eligible entities. And then there will be technical assistance providers to work with those participants to provide 4 years of technical assistance throughout their time in the program. There will be soil sampling occurring in years 1 and 3. And there will be soil moisture monitoring systems with soil moisture probes that will be installed in the first year in the program for each field. We will be releasing new educational materials. There will be outreach opportunities and access to new opportunities for people that are participating through this, such as like our peer-to-peer learning systems and some potential pay for performance pilot stuff that we're looking at. So there's a lot coming up here in the STAR Plus program. And then there is capacity support for conservation districts and entities that are going to join up and implement this programming and help us to get these funds out to the producers. This is going to be just a bit of a deeper dive into what is the STAR and STAR Plus portions of the program. So STAR is a free and voluntary tool helping producers to assess where they are on their soil health journey, inspire them by identifying new practices, and structure conversations around soil health. So we're hoping as we kind of build this out, we can begin to, when people get that STAR rating, we're going to be able to help them, provide them with technical assistance and with training, webinars and such, to help them figure out what they can do to increase their STAR rating by increasing their best management practices around soil health. It is available to individual producers, so they don't have to go through a district or eligible entity. They can just go to our website and fill it out. And STAR Plus participants, so those are the folks that are going to receive incentives, will complete that field, the STAR assessment as part of their consultation process. This will all work synergistically with the research components of this program. And it's probably worth noting here that we are working on a web app that will eventually replace the field forms, which are the 11 Google Docs that are out there now. which will hopefully make it a little bit more simple to fill those out. They're not hard to fill out, but they're a bit clunky, and the web app is going to have many fine features. Why would producers go through this? We would like to reward producer efforts for doing the right thing for their soil health. It is a scientifically rigorous process, so our forms were developed by a diverse committee of scientists, farmers and ranchers, NRCS specialists, and others, such as folks from CSU, from different the crop sciences department. So there's a lot that's went into these forms and into this evaluation. It is flexible and adaptable. It's looking at your soil health process holistically, and looking, we are, wanting to point out that there are many pathways for folks to improve their soil health, including, so we want to really acknowledge that there is a broad type of farming and ranching going on across Colorado, and even within each subset of what you might be growing, there's a lot of different ways that people's operations look and how they run those operations. And so we have tried to find many pathways where really anyone who wants to participate can find ways they can improve their soil health operation there, or their soil health within their operations. There's no prohibitions, so we're not limiting this to strictly organic folks or any size limitations. We really want this to be very broad tent and to cover everybody in the ag community that wants to participate, no matter what they're doing. We're encouraging experimentation and continual improvement. So each of these forms is field-based, and it's an annual process. So we're hoping you can run through that assessment tool, and a producer can run through that assessment tool and get a quick assessment of their soil health practices, and then seek be provided with resources, or seek resources to increase that number, and then on an annual basis be able to go in and recheck and see how they're doing and see if they've raised up in their rating. It is not overly burdensome for producers or administrators, hopefully. We have there. The average time it takes to fill out the field forms is less than 10 minutes. And then for grazing lands, it's a bit longer. It's about 15 minutes because there is such a diversity of grazing lands throughout Colorado. And then we are, as I may have mentioned in the last slide, working on this to be a potential market signal. So, folks, I already know a few folks who put their star rating signs up at their farm market stands. And eventually we hope to, we are working on a real campaign to get knowledge to the end consumers throughout the state, so they know when they see a star sign and see a star rating what it means, and then the producer can get a premium for their products when the purchaser knows that they are doing healthy soil practices throughout their operation. So this is how the process works. The producer completes a field form. And like I said, we will be here probably by 2024 implementing our web app versus the field form, but for now they go to the field form for any given field in a given crop year. And then points are assigned. So soil health principles and practices for croplands receive points. Decision-making and monitoring for grazing lands are how we're assigning points there. So we're acknowledging there that as long as folks are monitoring and making rapid decisions and correct decisions, then that's sort of how we're doing the rating for the grazing lands, versus it's a little bit more soil health principle based for the croplands. The forms are submitted via internet to the CDA for scoring. The producer receives a star rating and a field sign. And then for producers outside of Star Plus, there is random verification. So that's if you're in Star Plus and receive the incentives and you're going through a district or entity to receive those incentives, then we're sort of relying on that entity or district to make sure that they're helping those producers fill out those forms and getting correct info in there. But if it's just our regular STAR verification tool or our STAR grading tool, then we are going to randomly verify that folks are providing us with the correct information on those forms. And here's how the stars are laid out. A field, 1 star is an average, so a field with practices similar to what approximately 80% of fields of that type are doing in that region. 2 stars is a field beginning to implement soil health principles. 3 stars is a field implementing multiple soil health principles and is considered great. 4 stars is a field implementing several soil health principles, and we were calling that excellent. And then ideal would be 5 stars, which is a field implementing all 5 soil health principles. And then just a quick reminder, just to go back over this again, we do have room for 100 participants, the first 100 participants to use our online grading document. They are able to go on there and do that and receive a free soil health test. And then now we get to Star Plus. So this is where we have just put out the applications for new conservation districts and eligible entities to participate in administering the program with us, helping us to get the administration done for this program and the money out to the producers. Star Plus does have producer incentive payments. There are equipment grants associated with it. There are consultation forms. So the eligible entity or conservation district will meet with those producers and go through this consultation form, which gets a background of what the producer is doing on that particular field and what they would like to implement there, and ask some other questions as well. There will be soil tests. Like I said, there is a soil test in the first year and a soil test in the last year. So we want to see whether there are changes when people implement these new practices. And there is the soil moisture monitoring systems, which will be deployed to each field. There will be educational materials for producers that want to figure out how to do things better and raise their STAR scores, and that are just looking for technical sort of assistance. There is a peer-to-peer learning pilot project, which there will be more about that coming out later on. We're working on research we have a quite an extensive research component to this. So we have a team out of CSU that's looking at soil health, soil carbon, soil water. So they're studying how water holding capacities change in the topsoil as these practices are implemented, how carbon quantities change as these practices are implemented, and then they're looking at things like fertility and stuff like that as this goes on. And then we have an economic portion of it. So we are doing an economic analysis on a number of the fields that are within the program to determine what kind of costs are going into these practices, what the benefits are, and what kind of savings it's getting for producers, and kind of input and output financially wise. And then we have a sociology portion of this where we have a team that is looking at barriers to implementation of soil health practices and what's might be preventing people from trying these new things, and how things are perceived in the communities where these new practices are occurring. We are working on documentary films that will be coming out. I think some will be being released here fairly soon for our first year, that are showing these practices that folks have implemented, and how just generally how people are working toward healthier soils throughout the state. And then also along with Star Plus, we have field days. So each conservation district or entity that participates, they will have a field day in their area to showcase some of their soil health practices, and to people have gotten pretty creative with a few of these, so we look forward to seeing some new things come up. We've heard of some folks wanting to do a barbecue and have some live music, and then also have field days, field tours to go out and look at some of the fields where the new practices are being implemented as well. So just trying to generate that local community sharing of information of what's going on. And now I'm going to turn it over to Nikki Brinson. She's going to talk to us about workflow and application, this portion of the process that we're in now as we're expanding. And take it away, Nikki.
Okay, well, John kind of touched on some of it on the last slide, but this is really diving into the Star Plus program and the specifics around it, which is probably why most of you are here as a conservation district or an eligible entity. So John, can you do the next slide? This is kind of a visual breakdown of what you can kind of expect with the funding as part of the CSC grant. We just want to reiterate that we currently are not under contract with USDA yet on that. So we cannot subcontract to the districts yet, but we do need to get things rolling on the application so that, we're just like in the final stretches, almost there. And as soon as we have that signed contract, we are good to go. But just so you know, this will come across to your group as either a purchase order or a contract, and it will have all the breakdown of the workflow throughout the year and these requirements here on these next few slides on the financial piece. The initial capacity, you'll get $20,000. That is for your group to use to operate administratively or whatever you need. There's no restrictions on those funds, but for you to help implement the Star Plus program with your producers over the next few years. And we distribute that almost right away as soon as we get a signed purchase order or contract back from you. A separate part of funding is the producer incentives, and those require a producer match form. They are at $75 an acre. The minimum is 1,000 and the maximum is 5,000. It is required match, so you do have to have a 50% match, and there is a requirement that less than 40% if you're a conservation district, that less than 40% is a board or family member. If you have any questions on that, or you run into any sort of issues or concerns about that, these are rural areas, we understand that. Definitely please always reach out to us and ask those questions, and we can help walk you through those parts. The additional capacity, that happens, as John mentioned, when you do either the consultation forms, which are in the first year, or the check-in forms in the following years. And when you submit those for the producers, you will receive $2,000 a year on how many producers you have. And it also kind of covers we also obviously cover the cost of the soil sampling. The equipment grants is probably still the biggest piece that we're going to be rolling out again with Star Plus. We're waiting for some additional guidance from our Climate Smart Commodities contract on this, but we're hoping to roll it out with the same requirements of the maximum amount to request is $25,000. It requires 50% match again. There'll be a written plan, and we will most likely have an actual separate application process. So again, CDA is in the final pieces of contracting with CSC. The producer incentive payments will be from what the producers implement plants starting from October 1st of this year through September 30th of next year. So that's for the crop year. Those are due for final payment October 1st of next year. And the purchase orders and contracts we should hopefully have out after the award announcements and at the end of the 2023. Next slide, John. Thank you. This is just a different visual of that same information. Again, the bucket of capacity is initial 20,000, and then you have the ongoing 2,000 per producer per year. The producer incentive payments, the breakdown of $75 an acre. Receipts are required, and you have to use CSU labor rates. So for anybody that was part of Star Plus in the original rollout with our other grant programs last year, this last year. We did use a different federally approved labor rate. Going forward, starting in 2023, CSU labor rates will be the required rates to be used. All of your documentation as part of the program gets emailed to our soil email account, which is cda_soil@state.co.us. In addition, if you have any questions on this presentation or on the grant application process, that is also another good resource.
Nikki, can I step in?
Yes.
This slide has a lot of details on it, and I'm thinking about people that, we have some people that have been active in the first launch of the STAR Plus program, but there may be some new people that are still digesting kind of what's on this slide, and just it may be good to let people look it over and see if we have any questions from anybody pertaining to this slide before Nikki moves along. And then I just thought I'd give a little pause there for that.
Definitely.
Nikki, this is Penny with Chavano Conservation District.
Yeah.
Hey, I do have a question. So our initial contract was through the 319 grant. Going forward, this is for the next round. So if we have additional producers, this would be the program that we would fall under going forth?
Yes and no. So your original producers that you enrolled in 319 are covered and still under your 319 contract. You can apply for up to 10 or more in that existing CD application. And in that aspect, it will be a separate contract for however many producers you get under that one. You would not get the additional $20,000 again, but you would get the ongoing $2,000 per producer and then follow all this funding requirements.
Okay.
And we have a question here from Vanessa. We'll get to you, Neva, in a minute with your question, but Vanessa asks that if this slide is only applying to newly enrolling districts, or is any part of this slide pertinent to the districts that might be adding more to their existing number of producers that are participating?
Yeah. So the entire slide is based off of the newly applying districts. However, out of the capacity box, the bottom box of the ongoing capacity and the entire producer incentive box applies to currently or existing conservation districts and entities that are expanding with more producers.
We have a couple questions, about the minimum acreage for the new rollout. And if I'm not mistaken, the average acreage is 66 acres per producer. Obviously, we know there's no 66-acre field or anything like that out there, but we want the total number of producers that are going to be participating with you in that program to add up to an average of 66 acres each. And so that would cover, so if you have a few landowners that are smaller in size and acreage, then your goal would be to get some other producers that are going to push that out and push those acres out, and to give you that average number of about 66 acres per producer. Hope that makes sense.
And we're with the new districts and entities, we are wanting them to give us a pretty good thumbs up in the application that they are going to be able to get 10 producers and that their total overall acreage will be at 660 acres. So again, if you have someone that's got a smaller acreage, like a market garden type scenario that wants to be in there, then you'd be looking for someone with a larger acreage that's willing to participate, though they're still capped at the $5,000 per field payment. then you'd still want someone with a larger acreage field to offset that smaller acreage. I hope that helps a little on the acreage requirements. And then I see here, Deborah says, I saw in the application that we can cover a conservation district that is not participating in Star Plus. Would those producers be included in the initial 10 producers we can take on, or would that be an additional 10 producers or 10 for each district? If it is strictly covering producers from another district and that other district isn't applying, then the producers from that district would be part of your 10. It would not be an additional 10.
Thank you, John. And so just wanted to give us a moment to pause to get any questions pertaining to this slide answered before we move on, because I think some of you are going to be asking questions that might be covered in the rest of Nikki's slides. So perhaps let's let Nikki go forward, and we'll keep it moving, and we're definitely going to have more time to answer questions. So hold on to those. We're kind of answering some of them that are easy to answer in chat, but some of them we may not answer in chat. We'll just wait till the end and talk about them.
Okay, this is a big one with a bunch of questions typically. So as of right now, we're going with the 25,000 for the equipment grants. That does require the cash match of that 50%, and you must provide all receipts and keep all documentation. Basically, on everything on this grant, you will be required to submit all documentation as much as possible. We are expecting a potential audit, so we are making sure that everything is kept and provided for. In order to receive the funds, you'll have to submit a written plan or application. And that application will be sent out and also up on our website for access. You'll be able to email those directly to the soil email account, and it must have a description of the equipment, who will be used. Is it the conservation district? Is it a producer? How will it be used? Anticipated delivery dates. If the conservation district decides to use that money and divide it amongst a couple producers in their area on equipment, then all of that information still must be put into the written plan on what those producers are expecting to purchase and get with that money. Information on how the grant was solicited, how the producer was selected, and definitely notes if the board member, if the producer is a board member, has direct family, and it must be recorded in the district meeting minutes and attaching those minutes to the written plan. After we submit payment upon approval and based on funding, we need those final receipts are due within 90 days to the email if the equipment hasn't been purchased already. Next slide, John. So we've mentioned it a couple times on what the required matches for equipment grants, for producer incentive payments, and it's that 50% or 1-to-1 match. So this is just a different way to look at explaining that to hopefully make it easier for you. So the bar graph on the left is showing, for $5,000 of a match, the producer puts in $5,000 and they can purchase something for $10,000. So it's really that one producer dollar plus one matching dollar is twice the impact, is the fun little infographic for that. I know most of any entities or conservation districts that deal with grants have dealt with this before, but this is just to help explain that. Again, if you have any questions, definitely always reach out. Raquel is great at answering and helping you walk through the process. So for the 2023 applications, they are available now. I know some of you have already jumped on and started looking and asking questions, which is fantastic. There are two obviously separate applications. There's a new application if you are new to the program and the Star Plus grant, or if you are currently enrolled in either a SIG, CPP, or 319 grant, you can fill out the existing application, which is shorter as part of that incentive. I will say that both applications, grant applications, when you open them, they're a fillable Word document, so they are locked to where you can only fill in the gray areas. In addition to that, at the very end of the application is the review and scoring criteria. So definitely review that. Keep that in mind before you fill out your application, what that review criteria is. The third piece I really want to point out is that, again, it's a Word document, so please be sure to download it. If you're using Google Chrome, that little picture has kind of like a little red circle around it. You have to open it in a new window. And then you also have to click download and download it to your computer. Some folks try to like edit it in that window and it may or may not let you depending on which web browser you're using. But either way, it won't save the information and you'll have to start over again, and that would be awful. So definitely make sure you download a local desk copy, save it, and that's what you can work off of and submit for your grant. They are due April 3rd to the CDA soil email. Now, this is just showing you a little bit more of that. If you click on that expander window, that you have this download button, and that's what you definitely need to work on to make that save it. And again, a bigger picture of just the Google form itself. For those of you that are familiar with, at least conservation districts that are familiar with the matching grant and DCT applications, it's the exact same kind of form. So follow that process as far as downloading it to fill it out, and you should be all set. And my last slide is just saying the more the merrier. You cannot provide enough information or too many details. I think there's a 100,000 character limit on each of those gray boxes. So the more information you can provide us, the better the reviewers can really understand the producers in your area, what they're looking for, and give you more points in the evaluation process. So definitely be sure to never answer a question in 1 to 2 words. Make sure it's definitely attached when you go to submit it. We will do an initial review as those come in. Raquel will make sure that the attachment you sent is actually filled out and you didn't accidentally send us a blank one. But definitely always double, triple check that and go evaluate yourself against the criteria on those last few pages. But we are happy to answer any questions that you have along the way. So always use that email to get a hold of us and we can help. And John, I'll give it back to you.
All right. What are the requirements of the conservation districts or entities that apply and get selected? And we have broken it down here year by year. So year 1, which is probably by far the most amount of work that the district is going to do or entity, we have an eligibility check. So that's we have down here anything with the star means there's included forms that will be needed to do this, meaning your district or entity will be helping the producer get those forms taken care of. This eligibility check is to ensure that this is a federal these are federal dollars, so these producers have to be eligible to receive federal dollars. They're going to have to do some paperwork through the FSA. So that should just be stated up front before you enroll them and let us know they are there. We need to make sure that they have met that eligibility requirements. There will be an initial consultation. So you're getting together with the producers and going through our consultation form with them. Again, that form is sort of, what are you doing? What's been the history of cropping and farming on this field and tillage? What practices have you been implementing here? And then what are you going to do for your incentive? What are we incentivizing? So what are their plans? What would they like to change or try? There will be the soil sampling. So we're encouraging those districts and entities to assist producers with gathering those soil samples. There will be the installation of soil moisture probes, and there's going to be more information coming out about this. We'll have some soil moisture probe installation demonstrations coming up here. The existing folks, which I see there is actually a lot of existing folks on this call, be sure to attend the webinar for the existing group coming up here, where we'll maybe be looking at there'll be some more info on the soil moisture probes. We are going to try to get those out on the CIG fields this spring. And so we're going to need some help from you guys to get our technical assistance folks out there into those fields. And then there's the producer incentives portion of this. So once you've that one might be a little bit out of order. So there's the star rating and field sign. So prior to, after you've done the consultation, the producer needs to fill out their field form, which is their evaluation. It's that star evaluation tool. And they'll get a sign from us with a number of stars that they have from their previous year's practices. And then there's a producer incentive. So as they go through the first year, they will be implementing their new practice, and they will be submitting to you their receipts for reimbursement for the match. And then we will be taking, you will be filling out the producer match form to send to us. So you'll be helping them to get that form filled out and into our inbox so that we can submit payment to you. And then there is the year 2 to through years 2 through 3. You'll have a producer check-in each year. So in the spring of the year, we'll have a form that you'll use to contact that producer. It's going to ask what they implemented, how well it went, if there were failures or things they think they'd like to do differently, or how successful it was. Hopefully they have a lot of successes. And then again, you're going to have the producer incentives, helping them get that incentivization, helping them get those funds. So they're going to, let's say they chose to plant cover crops, and they in a cornfield that had been corn and then nothing through the winter, and then corn again maybe. So the first year you're helping them with that incentive to, maybe they're submitting their receipt for seed for the cover crops, or for time that it took them to plant the crops, or for equipment rental and things like that. So then in year 2 through 3, you're going to do that again for them. So they're going to submit the receipts for their new practice and what they've done. And then you're going to help them get that reimbursement form filled out and get it to us into our inbox so that we can send you the funds for them. And then in year 3, there is soil sampling again. So there's, to be clear, there is soil sampling in year 1 and in year 3. So we are making sure that we are wanting to capture any changes to the soil that's occurring from the addition of these new practices. In year 4, there is a final consultation. So you're going to meet up with those folks and see how things have went for them throughout the program. And there is the final producer incentives that are going on there. And then ongoing, there are field days. So each conservation district or eligible entity that participates is going to be responsible for holding one field day in their area, where they're showing off some soil moisture practices that are occurring, and getting together folks in their community to talk to them about the program and the participants, and hopefully participants are willing to come out and share what they've done and how well things worked, and maybe create some interest in the community to try some of those new innovative things in their own on their own properties. And then there's the technical assistance communication. So our technical assistance providers will the district or entity will sort of be facilitating the communication, and the district and entity will be facilitating communication from a number of folks, not just technical assistance providers. We kind of are we're staying sort of hands off from contacting the producers from the CDA. If we need something, we're contacting the entity or district and having them help convey that onto the producer or gather information from the producer. So you're really the communication channel to your producers, and we want that to be the way that all the information is flowing, is through the district or entity. And that'll also it'll so it'll work that way with our technical assistance people, with CDA communications, with research team communications. All that's going to run through you as the entity or district. And that brings us to the wrap-up slide here. And I have a little bit of phrasing to say, and then we'll ask for some questions. But we here in Colorado have a very diverse agricultural system, and it is really unique depending on your ecoregion, upon which portion of the state you're in, upon which crop you're growing, and we are well aware of that. And each spot seems to have its own unique challenges. We definitely have some shared challenges, but there are unique ones to each area. And this program, which I'm saying our new soil health program, it's still new after a year here. We are wanting to work to ensure that this community of people endures, and that our most valuable resource, which is our producers, can thrive in these changing environments and be resilient to climate uncertainty. And with that final bit, I think we will open the floor to questions. And I know we have a few. I'm going to go up just a hair here to Mosca Hooper.
I'm actually kind of tracking them.
Okay.
And I think yeah, the question of Mosca Hooper is difficult, and we might have to get back to them. Trying to find it. Got a lot of chats on here.
Yep. It says, if we received equipment grants last year and didn't receive money for all of the equipment grant requests, can we apply again this year? Sorry, go ahead.
John.
I was going to say, I think you might be referring to the second round of equipment grants that occurred this year. I don't think that is going to be happening again this year. I think it'll just be the initial equipment grants, similar to what you experienced with the first round of equipment grants, where we had a set amount for each district. Is that correct, Nikki? Yeah,
that's correct.
But those people could this new money is sort of for the new producers. So I don't know that you would be having folks who are already participants. You wouldn't want those folks to request their equipment money. Now, if it's equipment for your district, like something you're going to rent out or something, then yeah, you could feel free to use the equipment money, grant money you get for that equipment. I hope that makes sense.
And we can talk further about that.
We can.
Yeah. Let's not hold that one up and get to some other questions here. There was a question about leasing land, and could producers participate if they're leasing land? It'll be really important to make sure if there's a producer that wants to participate that's leasing land, they really need to be able to demonstrate that they have a lease that will go the full length of the committed time. And so for these new, this new go around, it's for 4 years. And so that will, that'll require having to have that land for that amount of time. It's kind of unfortunate, but if they lost it, then it wouldn't benefit the goals of this program. So that's the reason behind that.
Debbie has a good question on if each year if participating districts will be able to add additional producers. So the short answer is you will get a contract based on your application, how many producers you said you could take, or 10. If I don't want to say like a hard no, because if we are in year 2 and we're kind of short on numbers, we might be able to adjust a little bit there, but it won't be like a open door, Debbie, if that helps answer your question a little bit of continuously opening additional producers.
Because the Soil Health Advisory Committee has directed us, yes, we can go up to 10 producers. That you can, say you have 6 producers in your current program, and you can apply and get up to 10 if you're in good standing with your program and CDA. If you want to compete for another 10, then you will want to give all of the details and all of the information. So, to get it up to get your 6 to the 10, you don't have to give, it's not like a real deep application, but because we're going to be able to move people up to 10 if they're currently offering it and they have less than 10 producers that are signed up. Now, after that, if you want to get another 10 because you really think you have a lot of producers that want to sign up, please make sure you treat it as a very competitive application because there will be no, oh, they're doing great, so we're going to give them 10 more. It really will be a competitive process, and there will be an emphasis towards allowing new entities to be able to participate in the program. So I hope I described that accurately, but I think that we didn't want to close any of the early program participants as far as the districts and the entities. We didn't want to preclude them from being able to participate, but we want them to also recognize that they have to compete with that second 10 that they would be wanting to sign up.
I see Vanessa has, will this be the final round of STAR under CSC, or will there be another opportunity in the future? At the moment, this is it. This is what's there. Obviously, we hope we continue to get funds and can offer further signups in the future. But right now, for Climate Smart Commodities, this is the application time, and we are trying to get 25 new districts and entities and 660 acres per district and entity for each of those. So 10 people for each. And hopefully we feel that there might, like Nikki said, a few might drop out and we might be like, hey, we want to grab a few more, but it's probably the majority of this is all going to happen this spring and summer of getting these 250 new people on board. But hopefully in future years there will be other opportunities. Is the expectation that an applying entity be able to provide most of the technical assistance, or will CDA be able to provide some level of technical backstop to support a managing entity? We want you to really be able to provide the interface with the user and as much technical assistance as you can. And one of the questions in the application is, how much technical assistance do you feel that you can provide? But we are hoping to have technical assistance people that we can that are able to cover all portions of the state to be there when needed. I hope that answers your question, but we do want to know what your technical assistance ability is when you're applying. So we will probably be using that in some manner, taking that into account in some manner throughout the application. The existing program is 3 years. The new program is 4, says Neva. So as an existing CD in the program, if we add 3 more producers to make 10, these new 3 will fall under the 4-year program, and the CD will receive capacity funding for those new 3 for all 4 years. That is correct. Yep. In a separate agreement.
And just to reiterate, your 3 extra producers will still be in like a 3-year program. So we'll get 3 years of incentive payments, but your conservation district will get that 4th year of capacity support to kind of finish everything up at the end.
That's a good clarification. Thank you, Kristen.
I do want to acknowledge Kristen Boyson. She is on our team. She is the drought and climate specialist for the Conservation Services Division in the Department of Ag. She was very instrumental in helping to write this proposal to USDA and has really been working hard to finalize that agreement with USDA. So I would just want to give a special thanks to Kristen, Nikki, as well as Raquel for the work that they've been doing on this, trying to get this new grant finalized. I should say a few notes about that. We were originally under the impression from USDA that we could probably get a signed contract as early as the end of January. Well, it's February 9th and we don't have a signed contract yet. And that isn't alarming. USDA is backed up and we are in the queue, and we've been working back and forth with them, and they haven't had any kind of substantial issues or questions for us in this process. So that is good. That's a good sign. With that being said, it could be tomorrow or it could be May. We don't know when that contract will come. We are going through this process of doing all the applications and getting everything queued up with our partners in this, so that as soon as we get those that contract with NRCS, USDA signed and through our system, we will have scopes of work ready to go for all of we could feasibly have scopes of work ready to go for all of our conservation districts and entities as soon as the Soil Health Advisory Committee reviews and approves and makes recommendations on the list of entities and conservation districts that will get to participate in that for the field year starting 2024, which starts in October 1st. But we will be notifying all of those individuals or all those organizations that were selected. Hopefully that will be in May. However, we just want to make sure everybody knows nobody is really to do any work until you have that signed agreement. And so with the Colorado Department of Agriculture, because we're doing this under the good faith that the Secretary of Agriculture has told us in person that we are getting this money. We don't have any doubt about it, but we just like to have it ready to go, everything in place, so that as soon as it comes, we're ready to pull the trigger and move everything forward. Hopefully, we'll be having that contract before you even turn in your application. And if that's the case, there will be no gaps in anything. We will have we'll have the Soil Health Advisory Committee make the reviews, make the recommendations, and we will notify those. We will notify everybody, and then we will also start to get underway with contracting. Once we notify you, that's a good time to start talking to producers to get them lined up for that growing year of 2024 that starts. We say the growing year starts in October 1st. Nikki, do you have anything to add to what I just said?
Nope, that sums it up. Kristen put the link to the website with more information about the Climate Smart Commodities Grant and expanding it, the STAR Plus program, and definitely email us at the soil email if you have any more questions.
It's the top of the hour. I just want to thank you all for being here today, for your interest in bringing more soil health improvements to your landowners that you work with or that are in your conservation district. And I hope this answers most of your questions. And please, we look forward to seeing your applications coming in and wish you very good luck. And a lot of detail is good. So okay, it looks like we can stay on a minute, and Eva has a question about what I just clarified. Go ahead, Neva, you're welcome to speak, or you can ask the question. So the new producer year will start in, yes, October 1st of 2023. That is the 2024 crop year. That's the beginning of the 2024 crop year is October 1st, 2023. It's a little confusing at first, but think about those that are planting winter annuals that are going to be harvested in 2024, like wheat, winter wheat. So that's why we do it that way.
And for folks that plan to implement, say, winter grazing or winter cover cropping and winter grazing. So we're trying to capture that from that. So we go from the fall to the next fall.
Correct. All right.
Okay, one more thing. This is Neva again.
Yes.
Okay, so the new producers that we sign up, they cannot be reimbursed for anything until October 1st, 2023 on. Is that correct? So if they did
Correct.
something over the summer this year, they won't be eligible.
It
Okay.
won't be eligible, correct? Yep.
Okay.
And just to reiterate, the field forms and the questionnaires that they fill out are going to be on what they did the previous year. It's not what they're going to do, it's what they've done in their previous year that they get stars, the star rating for. We do want them to be thinking about what they're doing in the future and what they're thinking about doing, and that's where the funding will help that. But the star rating comes from what they have been doing. All right. And thanks again, everybody. I think we have another one of these question and answer sessions. Do we have a date set for that?
March 9th.
March 9th. Thanks a lot. So you can listen again if you want, or tell people about it. So we hope it's been helpful, and wish you good luck. And thanks for your partnership.
Please reach out with questions.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.